First up, thank you so much, Tanmay, for being a part of this here and for spending time. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me, Ankur. Always looking forward to spend time with you.
Awesome. Feelings mutual. I wanted to ask you this question before we got started to set the context. How was it growing up? Did you grow up with a lot of money, without money? What were your early years like with or without money?
I think I'd be lying if I said that I grew up with very little money. That's not true. Both my parents were working. We didn't have our own house in the beginning. We were a large joint family. I was living in a 1 BHK till the time that I was out of college, had my first job. Then once I started working really early. I started working when I was just out of school, just got into college. I started doing odd jobs. I was a half decent writer for my age at that time. So a lot of people would employ me as, oh, he's this good and this young, he's future talent, right? So I started getting these jobs. I started writing for magazines. Then I started doing BMM, where my college timings were 7 a.m. to like noon. That gave me the whole afternoon and evening to work. So then I started getting proper gigs then. Then I started writing. I wrote for WWM, which is the magazine department of the Times of India. I wrote for a bunch of magazines there. I used to do all these college festivals until I was participating in Mr. Malhar, which I won. And Ronnie Screwvala and Zarina Mehta were the judges there. And they somehow got in touch with me via the organizer of the festival. They were making a television show for Bindas. And that television show involved writing some comedy. And I did like some version of stand-up at Malhar. And the production company was run by Roshan Abbas, who got in touch with me and said, why don't you come write? That's when I met Roshan Abbas and I started writing for television. So by the time I was 21, 22, I was entrenched in the world of television. And I remember my CA was my dad's CA. And I think that year I made whatever, 10, 12 lakh rupees that year. I was very young. And my CA told me saying, hey, do you know that you're making as much money as your dad? And that's when it hit me saying, oh, okay. So this is like seriously good money for that age. So yeah, I think relationship with money was never bad, but it was not, I've seen people having better, significantly better upbringing. But that was fine. I was never starved. मम्मी हमेशा बोलती रही कि एग्जाम में कुछ करके दिखाओ फिर वीडियो गेम मिलेगा. वीडियो गेम मिलता रहा. I was a very bright student. I used to do well. So it was never a struggle. But yeah, I like real wealth and money started unlocking when I started making money. And of course, today the learnings are far different from then.
तो कभी भी बचपन में do you remember any moment जहाँ ऐसा लगता था काश हमारे पास और पैसा होता तो हम ये कर पाते या मैं ये कर पाता या मैं ये खरीद पाता?
Yeah, for sure. I went to Barfiwala High School, okay, which is a government-aided school. That means it was like one level above like a municipality school. Mm-hmm. So there, in one exam, I did really well, and my mom bought me a gear cycle. Right, I was the first kid in school to have a gear cycle, and when I drove the cycle to school, there was a reaction of, "Oh my God! Like, you have so much money." And that was very weird for me because being told that you have a lot of money is an accusation, right? It's not a compliment. Growing up, being told, itne paise tumhare paas. So that was very weird. Whereas in other situations, I had other friends who were far well off than me. There it was the opposite, right? They had nicer clothes and, they had bigger cars and that sort of. They had cars. We didn't have a car for a long time. So there it was the opposite issue. So the relationship with money was never objective. It was always that some people perceive it in another way, other people treat it in another way. So it was never looked at for what it is, right? That, oh, this is a thing that, it's a game essentially, right? Like no one taught you that.
Yeah. Did you at any point of time, like some of the kids have some figure in mind कि इतना पैसा तो जिंदगी में होना ही चाहिए.
1 crore रुपए.
हाँ, and was that KBC led कि ये organic thought था?
Very KBC driven, right? Because 1 crore seemed unachievable, right?
Yeah.
In fact, someone did a poll on Twitter recently, Ankur, said that how much money would you need to retire? right? And there was figures of 5 crores, 7 crores, 10 crores, and everybody thought 10 crore rupees is what I need to retire. My first question when I see this is, "Tum retire okay karo?" Like, what is retirement? Like, what are you gonna do?
Correct.
So my burn every month to be comfortable for me, and this burn includes some stuff. There's some scope for purchases. I like some electronics. I want to have, I want to have a computer that's like up to date every year. It includes some money I give my mom. It includes, once I moved to Bangalore, and also I was spoiled in Bombay. Also, I had a pretty big house in Bombay. I can't go back to a smaller house. So I'm just like, okay, I just gotta work to have a decent sized house. I don't have needs for a fancier car. I've driven the same car for the last 10 years, actually 9 years. I've had the EcoSport since it came out. That's what I've been driving. That's what I've always had. So I have a burn of about 5.5-6 lakhs a month. Saying, okay, this includes some editors, includes some staff, some folks of the team, and I'm like, okay, if I can maintain this, and so what does that work up to, right? 10% of this, 10% of whatever your investments are, that needs to work out to about 70 lakhs a month, 70 lakhs a year, roughly.
Yeah.
Because if you give me 70 lakhs a year, I'll be very comfortable. Great. So either I need to figure out a way to make 70 lakhs a year, which is consultant gigs, etc., etc. Or I need to have roughly 7 crore rupees to, what is it? FIRE. What is that?
Yeah, FIRE to financially independent retire early.
Retire early, yeah.
My God.
I need 7 crore rupees to fire.
All right. So about 7 CR or so, 1 CR a year pre-tax and so on. And then when you were growing up, when you were a kid, was there somebody in the family or somebody externally that you looked up to when it came to money? Like, ye mere khuda hain when it comes to money?
I had a very sweet, my dad's elder brother. We used to call him Dr. Uncle. He was a strict uncle because he was a doctor as well, right? So I was a chubby kid. So I used to always get a rap on my wrist for, eating chocolates and that kind of stuff. So he was always someone that I felt like if I could grow up and have money like him. He also lived in a, much nicer house than mine. It was a bigger house. It was a house with a clinic attached to it. So he was very, very kind. And it just felt like you got to be a level of disciplined to be like him because he was a doctor, So it just felt like, yaar, aisa insan banna padega if you want to money is earned through hard work.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't just casually make money is what I used to. Then now I meet crypto traders. I'm like, okay, what the hell happened here?
Yeah. That just flew off the window. Dr. Uncle would not be pleased with that.
Dr. Uncle would not be pleased.
Oh God. And when you started writing these scripts, made an awful lot of money for your age, clearly to shock your CA as well.
Yeah.
Were you wise with that money? I do remember you making this remark ki one of the best things my mom did was chahe main jitna bhi kamata tha, she used to set some aside. And I used to like literally hate her for doing that because it felt like my money going into something waste. And that at some point in time saved you. But walk us through that. Like, how was your first dealing with money?
I have a career today because I was good with money. Let me explain how. I used to have a joint account with my mom. So she knew exactly how much money was coming in. And I had a debit card that I used to use. And she knew exactly how much money was going out. Right? So any purchase I made, she knew. That was very helpful. My mom was never forcing that don't buy this, but it would always be a conversation and a half. I think justify this. And I just wanted to avoid it, to be honest. I just didn't want to explain it to her. Right? So she would keep an eye on where my money went. Because of this, I had a significant saving. By the time I was 23, 24, I had a few lakh rupees in the bank. Because I had these savings, I could convince my mom. So my parents bought another house on loan, which was on the same floor as mine. So I knew that there were a few lakhs of loans that were taken to get that house. So that was my chance to tell my mom saying, hey, there's some tenants here. This tenant had a kid in the 10th standard. As soon as his boards are over, we got to get them to empty the house so I can live there. I cannot approach this conversation without saying I will pay rent for this. Of course, I'll pay rent because I know this rent helps you run the house. So I was able to breach that conversation, which was then made possible. Eventually, my mom caved. The condition was that no meals will be cooked in that house. You have to still come and eat your food in this house. I was able to go to the other house, right? Which is a huge independent feeling, having another house. But I was very lucky. It was right next to my parents' house, right? So there was no trouble, so to say. I would have to go there to get the keys to enter my house, right? It was like that. But it's a big feeling. I learned budgeting, which is what do I spend to make this house done. I had my own maid who started coming home. I started having expenses. That was a big learning experience. Then, because I started learning how to deal with money, and that I had savings, I came across some of my friends that you might know, Rohan Joshi, Pulsibran Khamba, Ashish Shakya. The stand-up scene happened. And at that time, the stand-up scene didn't really pay much. But because I had savings, I could do those 3 years and truly do whatever I wanted. In those 3 years, I wrote 8 to 10 hours of live stand-up. I traveled across the country. It wasn't hand to mouth. If I didn't have savings, it would have been hand to mouth. But I had savings, so I was very comfortable. So that actually, my training years of those 3-4 years of absolute training without worrying about money is you kind of develop a muscle that you still use today. It's like getting super fit at a very young age, right? Like those people in their 40s are also mega fit. They don't have to put in those years of getting stuff done. So super useful, which is why people who young minds who are financially independent at an early age can do wonders. Which is it's unfortunate that a lot of kids now they're exposed. Like the need to spend is too high, Ankur. Like it's the need
status game.
Yeah, too high.
Yeah. No, I get it, and this is so useful because it's almost like your mom, without training you and prepared you for what was to follow, and kudos to her.
This part was really good, Ankur. This part was really good. But I was still not in the 30% tax bracket range in these years. Then I started making more money, right? That's when I started faltering. When adulthood properly hit, I moved out of the house that I was staying in. I wanted to move into a bigger house. I started upgrading lifestyle. I bought a newer car. I started buying fancy clothes. There was a period of like 2 years where I felt like I had made it. And, if I was at a bar with friends, I was the one to offer. I also had much higher status in life, but my financial status wasn't as high as my social status. So you got to keep up. So I made those mistakes as well. So when AIB shut down, I again saw debt and I was just like, what? I thought I was past this 10 years ago. What happened now?
Yeah. We'll come to that period because I think that there is a lot to learn from that period and how you navigated that, though it wouldn't have been easy. What was your first big purchase in life? Like एक ऐसी चीज जो आज भी एकदम proud feeling खुद के पैसे से.
I bought my uncle's car. So my doctor uncle, the very generous uncle, they had an extra car they weren't using. It was a Fiat Palio. It was unused. It was really good. He was really generous. He said, you can probably have this at a discounted rate. And I bought that car. So I got a car when I was 22, 23, which was insane, right? At that point, like having a car that early.
Did your mom approve of the car purchase?
No. This was...
But you were like...
This was an outbound inquiry from me to uncle and auntie. It had nothing to do with my mother. My mother didn't approve of it. She said, why do you need 2 cars? This dad has a car. Why you need? I said, dad doesn't drive his. I don't want to drive his. I want my own thing.
You're cool like that.
Yeah.
And today, or let's go back to the... So there was a time, if I remember right, 16, 17. And it literally felt like AIB किसी चीज को भी हाथ लगाएगा तो वो सोना बन जाएगा. Like you guys were killing it, like literally everywhere, rocking it, making it happen. And then, of course, all of that comes down like a house of cards, and it's not pretty. And you go through a really tough time, which you've publicly also expressed, and we all saw that. But we nearly wouldn't know how it would have felt, because one thing is to go through the emotional distress, which is always a personal journey, and nobody else can relate to it except you. They can always empathize and perhaps be there. And the second one is also this ugly little thing of financial distress that's staring at you, because that's the reality of life.
Yeah.
What was going on in your mind?
I think there was some sense of how could I be that stupid? Because I didn't care about savings when AIB was happening, right? It was all reinvest. Okay, whatever money we made individually, we were reinvesting it, right? So it wasn't just me; it was everybody reinvesting it back to the company. We decided to produce a movie on our own. Let's put our money into the most expensive medium of expression ever, with no buyer at the other end guaranteed, and we'll make an artistic film, what we want to make. Okay. Like that, we didn't think that through, because we were very certain that, hey, things will go well. We'll end up, there'll be a buyer for this film. We were AIB, right? And then that didn't happen. We were like, everybody said no to us at that point. Netflix said no. Prime Video said no. Everybody said no. So then there was this, really nice thing that we had made, but which was expensive. So I felt really stupid then, which is that, the clarity that hit me then was I had spent the last, half a decade, somewhere in the middle, 3/4 of a decade, thinking about status, but not optimizing for wealth, right?
Yeah.
At that time, I was looking at, all our competitors. TVF had raised money from, Tiger Global at that point. And I remember thinking, why would someone raise debt? Why would someone raise money? Don't you have to owe investors? I didn't have that kind of a growth mindset, that Arunabh had. I didn't understand how this money works. In fact, I actually did actively. We had meetings with many other investors, after they raised, after Filter Copy raised. We did meetings with investors where investors are like, please take money. And we were just like, no, what? Why should we take money? We don't want to.
We got to sell out.
Yeah, that's what the dumb artistic thought process, right? We didn't optimize for wealth, which is what hit me after, right? That's one of the reasons why I started Clueless, right? Which is because I really started understanding, this is how money works, and some of the past decisions were incredibly stupid, and I was one of the first vocal people on the, in my circle of artistic friends. I was just like, guys, there's this thing called status and wealth. Let's talk about this, because all of us are geared towards this one thing, but we don't pay attention to the other thing. And none of us are getting any younger. Like, I was in my 30s then, and being like, why am I looking at an empty bank account in my 30s after I've already, done the hard work to be able to scale it?
Yeah. Were you angry at yourself or angry at somebody else?
I was angry at a lot of people. I was angry at everybody on the internet. I was angry with myself. I was angry with a lot of friends. I was angry with a lot of people who stopped being friends. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in anger. It was 1 year of 1.5 years of therapy where it was quite ugly. But now when I look back, I think the 2 years of pain, probably the most formative years of the new version of me, absolutely needed it. And now when I look back and I go like, holy, those 2 years were, in hindsight, the best thing that could have happened for this new version of me. So it's true. It's that all the cliches are true, yaar, Ankur. Like, just beyond pain is where real growth is, and all that shit.
Yeah. No, it seems like in those 2 years, you experienced a decade, and that, like, the second innings, if I may use that, of Tanmay Bhat is unlike what I don't know even you could have expected. Forget anybody else expecting it from you.
Yeah,
and it's remarkable. It is remarkable. Like, from a distance, and I only have the privilege of observing you from a distance and not nearly up close, it feels like you have found a very different you, which is a lot more aware of who you are, where you want to be, how you want to do things, and still carries that middle finger to the world, but in a way that's always respectful of at least where you're coming from and your
Just
growth.
laughing my way through it more than being angry.
which is always a good thing
And
to do, man.
likewise, Ankur, I resonate a lot with your stories as well, man. I get it. I routinely text you saying, "Hey, I read this and love this shit, man."
Thank you.
I love
Thank
it,
you.
man. I love it. I love I love it. Love to see people fall and get up. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah, and it's, I think for me, the most joy I feel is when I see people vibing with what they are doing in a way that they couldn't care two hoots about the world. And it is crazy how that level of diffidence towards the world is also a large part of their success.
Correct.
Because the world then suddenly sees them in awe. Like, जैसे नवल रविकांत famously बोलता है, when you do something that looks like play to you but work to others is when you're in that zone. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
And I think you are a great example of that, right? Like, it takes, people forget the amount of effort it takes to be so zeroed in on what you want to achieve and to create your own systems and do your own thing. It's very easy to be distracted in this world, right? Like in this creation, it's very easy to be distracted. It's very hard to be razor focused on what is your plan and to be able to have a macro outlook towards, hey, I'm here now and I need to get here. So what do I need to completely cut out to be able to focus? People forget how difficult it is to have a decade-long career in the public eye. It's pretty hard.
Yeah. Or even have a decade-long perspective.
Correct.
Like I remember जब हमने 1 million YouTube पे hit किया था, and the team and everyone was so happy and blah blah blah. And I like think about it this way, guys, कि अगर हम यही काम अगले 10 सालों तक करेंगे, we will have 10 million subscribers.
Correct.
10 million subscribers seems like the biggest far-fetched idea for anyone who wants to start, but it's just 10 times of what you have done already. And
gets easier.
And
right?
for me, it was just, it's like, this is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And whether you want to do it for that long or not. But no one's ever going to come in your way unless YouTube shuts down or whatever happens, or for that matter, any other such platform. So it's crazy how having a decade long milestone in your head just makes so many things achievable.
Yeah.
So tell me this, and this is something I'm very curious about. So you're running two YT channels right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm running 4.
You're running. Oh, okay. Two that I'm aware of.
2 that you're aware of.
Which are the other 2?
So I have Bot Army Clips.
Oh yeah.
Bot Army Clips, and I have the Super Team podcast.
And you're also investing. You're very active in Web3. You also occasionally, I don't know, because of a choice or anything, you're still writing scripts. You're still actively involved in the creative scenario outside of just online. Where do you make most money?
Until I have my first big exit, which is hopefully,
I thought you would say that.
Yeah, until I have my first big exit, branded content is still the most amount of money I make. I have, between the channels, ad revenue. Unlike you are a saint, you have turned off ad revenue. I have not done that. All right. Between the channels, ad revenue, that would be the second largest chunk of money. Where else do I make money? Ads are the least. Writing ads makes the least amount of money, and it's the most amount of effort as well, because every campaign is a multi-film campaign. It's 3 films, 4 films, 5 films. It's about 2.5 months of work, easy. Yeah, I mean, the cred campaign is at least like it's a quarter, right? But it's high leverage work, right? It's like going viral on someone else's money, right? Everybody sees it. It's what gets me every inbound. It's what keeps me relevant, so to say. It's also like once a year. I really want to go viral once a year. I've had it since 2011. I really like that feeling that you made something that everybody saw once a year. And most importantly, it's I get to write with the AIB team again. Right? They're all crushing it. They're all doing their own thing, and I just get to be in a room with them and have fun. So that's Divya, me, Puneet. It's really a joy. That's very fun. Then there is affiliate links, which is the smallest chunk for me. That I haven't figured out yet, but that is another source of income. What else? I actually another revenue stream which I haven't focused on at all is stand-up, right? I'm actually going to start working on a new special now when I'm back from towards the end of May, and that's going to unlock a whole new revenue stream hopefully next year, where I'm selling tickets across USA, Australia, that sort of stuff.
Nice. Awesome. All right, last couple of questions. Number one, what's one thing, Tanmay, that you wish kash paisa isko kharid sakta?
Time, dude.
One thing that money.
I wish money
What will you do with time? What more do you want to do that you don't have time for?
I would make time go slower. Right? Let me rephrase it this way. I wish money could buy health or de-age you. Right? If there was a way for me to be 20 with the wisdom I have at 30, nothing like it. But I guess if I had that wisdom at 20, I wouldn't have it at 30, right? Like you got to learn it over time. What could money buy, man? You know, the funny thing about money can buy you a lot of things, Ankur, actually.
Yes.
People say money can't buy you happiness. It's that curve, right? Which is, to a certain degree, if this is happiness and this is money, to a certain degree, it can buy. There's sort of plateaus at the end, like the difference between 50 million and 500 million is probably not significant. But this is a pretty big delta. It's pretty good.
It changes a lot. Awesome. All right, 3 rapid fires. Pick between money and power.
Money. Power comes with it.
Sure. Pick between $10 million today or you 20 with what you know today.
Me at 20 with what I know today. I'd be at $100 million by now, not 10 million.
Okay.
What's the costliest thing that Tanmay Bhat owns?
Ooh, costliest thing. This computer is not more expensive than my car. The costliest thing.
Your computer is more expensive than your car.
It's not. That's what I said. It's
but
not.
Even the fact that you thought about it makes me.
Yeah. It's a really good. It's it's my favorite thing in the world. What's the costliest thing I own today? Rent? No, not even rent. My car is the costliest thing that I own. I own nothing that is costlier than 7 lakh rupees. Are you serious? I have no jewelry. What else could it be, Ankur? I'm freezing. What is more expensive than 7 lakh rupees? Nothing. Not my.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing if you don't have that answer. It's a good thing that the costliest thing is a 9-year-old Ford EcoSport.
Yeah. That's the most expensive thing that I have. I have nothing else.
What is the costliest thing you would want to buy?
A private jet. Because I think, I would love to buy a private jet. But I'd only buy it if I can afford at least 10 flights a year in the private jet. And when I say 10 flights, I mean cross-continental flights. I've thought about this. Okay. I've even sat and done the math on what would it cost me to fly Bombay to Bangalore in a private jet. Comes up to about 7-8 lakh rupees. Okay, one way.
Yeah.
These private jets will have 6 to 7 seats. Okay. So if I split it between 8 people, that's about 1 lakh. Okay. Business class ticket is about 45,000. So the actual gap is about 50,000 bucks. Okay. And when I look at vlog ad revenue and I look at the flight seat, I'm like, this is probably a decent investment just to have that experience and vlog it, so that can just pay it off, and net I'm okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you have a quantifiable way of making money, you start saying, "Ye gaadi to ek corporate show hai, ye computer Dubai ka ek gig hai."
Exactly.
Like it literally becomes so trivial in that sense that you start quantifying that like crazy.
Yeah. So a private. I also think that commercial flights have not seen a significant efficiency improvement in the last 2 decades, right? It's really irritating. Like it's still like door to door is you add 3 hours door to door extra over the flight. It's painful. I'm just like, you can make this simpler. But I guess yeah. But I'm pretty sure private jets are going to get cheaper as we go as we keep going, right? I think I would definitely want to experience that.
I think so too. At
Most
some point of time, Elon will take care of it.
Yeah, most expensive thing you said, right? Most expensive what I want.
Yes.
I want a young athlete's blood. Okay, I read.
Yeah. Good biohacking शुरू हो चुका है. Biohacking will be an insane expense if you do get serious about it. By the way,
I absolutely love it, Ankur. I love it. So I'm an investor in Ultra Human, right? So I have their CGM meter. Mohit, who's one of the founders, absolute genius. He gives me insane insights. I use an Aura ring for now. I have a dashboard for everything. I've lost 12 kilos in 3 months just looking at this shit. Like I've gotten very good at it now. I think this is the year finally after 30 years. I have read about, I first saw it in the show Silicon Valley. I saw the person who's supposed to play the crazy billionaire. He got a young athlete and he replaced blood or whatever. Then I started reading about biohacking and I started being like, this is not fiction. This is real. Like billionaires really do this. Then I've started to look at every picture of Jeff Bezos in a suspicious way. Okay. I'm like, तू इतना fit कैसा है? तेरे मसल इतने बड़े कैसे हैं? तू क्या कर रहा है? मेरे को बता. कुछ तो चल रहा है ना? कौन है athlete? Tom Brady आ रहा है तेरे घर पे? कौन आ रहा है तेरे घर पे? So I would love to do that. I think that would be nice. This sort of stuff is fun.
I'm glad you have your investments lined up.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Wonderful, man. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for being so candid. I always love you for being so authentic because that defines a large part of who you are.
Continue with that.
Ankur, I hope
man.
this is a successful experiment, and I hope that I can come back again next year and we can do an update.
The next one will be in your private jet.
Let's hope.
Totally.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Awesome,
Ankur.
man.
Thank you.
All the best, man. Take care. Always a pleasure. Bye. My first book, Do Epic Shit, is now out. I would love for you to buy a copy of Do Epic Shit on Amazon.in.